But something to hang that.
So we're going to be talking about this series, Jamestown season 3, which is awful.
I thought you were going to say awesome.
No, but
what happened in the last half hour or something like that to change your mind?
We're each drinking one tub of organic arugula, which does not make a lot of juice. But
you put some other
I
stuff
put
in.
some broccoli stems.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
Oh, James has
broccoli and
so good.
You're sounding like Stephen Page on If I Had $1 Million.
The arugula is going to be the bad thing, though.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready.
Oh my heavens! I actually feel sorry for you. Who says that you don't feel other people's pain? You got a little green mustache. I think you got most of it.
Okay. That's some terrible stuff. Well, you'll see.
I know.
Enjoy.
I know. Oh man. I don't know if I want to do it on camera. I think I want a bucket here just in case you got a spew.
But you know, as much as like we already had the kale, ginger, with turmeric pepper.
Was that this morning?
Yeah.
See,
and
like I tried to put traumatic things out of my mind.
Yeah.
See how effectively it worked?
And honestly, we're not doing very good with the diet, as you can see.
Tomatoes are awesome. They're good for cancer and other ailments.
Yeah, I know, but we shouldn't be having this.
The garlic toast is, well, yeah. It would be about the cheapest bread possible.
But,
and the garlic has been cooked up so much like crazy. It doesn't. There's hardly any garlic taste left in it. So I don't know how they get the stuff they are. You know, you think they'd be extracting some juices out of them?
No, because like I would think, sure, maybe they use garlic pulp if it was like
but it's
spread.
Not pulp.
But yeah. So I don't know.
That's weird. I don't.
Maybe they
Does
just
it put whole garlic?
Oh, I wonder if maybe they extract it somehow. Extract the juice just by soaking it.
Soak.
Yeah.
There's something going on.
Because there's
very little garlic taste in those things, you know, like, because I can eat a whole one of those, right? And if that was real garlic, I'd be.
Oh, I know. I know. It's shocking. So there's got to be something. But you figured it out,
right? Yeah. And it's like
I don't know. I don't know how they do it.
I could see the wheels in your mind working, and then I was thinking about soaking. It's like
you were, yeah.
But you thought I could see the light in your eyes.
And you've eaten real garlic fresh, you know what. Yeah. So the arugula, you betcha that's arugula.
It's good to use it fresh as possible, right? It's been sitting in those tubs or whatever.
Yeah, well, we were given this, and
sure.
I'm so thankful for this.
Yeah.
It keeps us as healthy as possible, and
all this stuff has helped to turn your health around. I mean, it's turning it around. It's a better way to put it, right?
And you too, I think.
Well, it's helping other things turn me around. I don't know what percentage it is, the chemo that I take, and how much it is the diet. The diet could be easily way more than 50% of it.
I don't know. I'm trying, but
because
obviously I could try harder.
Like in my first remission, my back didn't spring back the way it has in this second. And the second remission should be less effective, all other things being equal, than the first one. You know I'm not making it up. You've seen me make amazing strides with my new back, right?
And I still have to post the pictures of when you had cancer. I just have to...
Yeah. Well, those pictures aren't going away, you know, like...
I just keep
doing
the weekly blog thing, and I'm not... And the videos, and I'm not...
I saw a picture at my place that... back then I barely recognized myself. I looked like my dad or something like that. He's 30 years older than me, 31 years older than me, something like that.
But anyway, we were talking about this Jamestown, which is awful, which I don't know why it has survived to season 3, because it's so bad. I think what happened is PBS was like, well, you know, we should...
Is it PBS that put that on? Jeez.
We should make a show that features the natives of Virginia and all this and that. Right? I think they were wanting to be...
They even researched, they
Yes.
they're calling them, I've forgotten the exact name, but there's I think they'd be, Algonquin type speaking.
Oh, I can tell. They really did a lot of work.
Research.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. But still, the series is awful, and nobody would want to watch it. No one.
Yeah, it seems kind of boring.
It's
but,
so bad.
I should be
But-
taking history notes.
I mean,
out
it
of
says
this.
that it's from the makers of Downtown Abbey,
what
and
is
that was awful too. We tried that, and it was so
What
bad.
was that
So
about? What was the...
I don't know. I don't even
Downtown
remember.
Abbey?
You want me to get You want me to get more Downtown Abbey out so you can remember?
No.
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 So that's
Because
how
I'll
bad
just forget.
this
If
is.
it's that boring, I'll just forget it. The only thing I find memorable about this is I like the first syllable in Jamestown.
Very
I'm totally,
nice. I'm-
totally objective about it. It has nothing to do with the fact that that's
But-
my first name. But
We were talking about this last night. Because why not
In
talk
between
about it
stifled
rather than
yawns.
watching it?
exactly right. Yeah, we had to try to make it exciting or relevant or something.
You
It
gotta
might be
try.
relevant. It's hard
But-
to say.
No, we were talking about the linguistics, actually. I was
And that's pretty sad when you're resorting to linguistics to liven up an evening.
yes. So see, because we were talking about the acting, and James was saying, well, they probably had to get some British actors for this because they probably didn't have enough American actors who could pull off the accent properly. And so then I was like, oh, of course, because they want it to seem realistic because, they're
This
British
is the
people.
first real British settlement to take hold in
Yeah.
the, I guess, in the New World, in the continental
Definitely.
United States. So around 1600, a little after that. So.
I think they have the date on the back here. 17th century English settlement on the...
They just say
blah, blah,
17th
blah,
century,
blah,
which is
blah.
1600s. So.
Anyway, so they didn't have the date on there, but that's okay. I don't care.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that they did. I thought I remembered. It doesn't matter. Anyway,
You're giving them more benefit of the doubt than they deserve.
no, they did a lot of work for this.
Oh, I think they did a lot of research. Yeah, exactly.
And I really like the look of the painting and stuff that they have on the different guys.
Like the natives and stuff.
The
too.
guys. I don't
Sure,
think there were any
exactly. Yeah.
women that had.
Well, hopefully they did
Or
a
at
lot of
least I
research
didn't
there.
notice them because honestly I wasn't watching that.
No.
I had a hard time. There's one chief guy. I think he's a chief. He's old. And so I've made some assumptions there, not following the plot at all. And
Well,
he talks like Cookie Monster. And I'm like, come on.
oh, that's amazing. I got to
Yeah,
hear that.
it's
But
kind of
yeah, it's
embarrassing.
assuming,
But
like an
maybe
elder
some
is a
people do
chief
talk
would-
like Cookie Monster.
we don't know exactly, but I don't think there were really good anthropological studies being done back then. So we don't know. But here's the guy from the Blackfoot out here. He's saying, we didn't have chiefs. All we had was the guys. If we were having a war, we'd pick a guy who was good at leading war and stuff like that. And in that case, that chief, in that sense, probably would be a little bit younger.
Okay.
Possibly.
Well, some old guy in the show.
Yeah, maybe an elder or something like that.
I don't know who.
No.
I was making assumptions, and that was wrong of me to do that.
Not really.
Okay.
Like that's the way that it's being presented in the show, I'm sure.
I
This is
don't
what's-
know. He seemed to have some authority, but
There you
maybe
go.
I'm just thinking that, and I'm like, why give some guy with authority a voice of Cookie Monster?
Yeah, it seems kind of funny.
I don't know.
Cookie. Was it kind of like that?
Well, now I'm gonna have to find him talking again on the show.
Oh, okay.
Just to play
Just
it
to
for
show
you.
it for me. I must have been snoozing during that part.
Anyway.
Or those parts.
But what we were talking about is linguistics and how the British people, they want it to seem authentic, so they've given the people British accents, but British accents of that time period would not have been what we know of as modern day British accents. So it is actually not authentic.
You put that way better than I could have.
Did I do okay with that?
Yeah.
Did I explain?
Awesome.
Because James was talking about it, and I was like, oh.
She did it in half a minute. So there we go.
There.
Very good. Congratulations. I'm the one who's supposed to know a little bit about linguistics. I'm pursuing a linguistics minor.
But now go on to explain further why.
Oh, you gave me half an hour.
Yes, go ahead.
To try and muddy the waters.
Yes.
Anyway, the problem is, well, what were the questions that you were asking? Like you were saying, like what would make them, makes languages change and things like that? Why would they be so different, right?
That's what I was asking. I was like, we were talking about how the American accent, why is the American English, well, and Canadian English, why is it so, and maybe even, well, we have the French influence more.
It hasn't exercised much influence on our language. Not weird.
I don't know.
Except maybe which might be you know, like H-E-I-N or something like that in French. That might have come from
been French.
Yeah.
But anyway, American, what I was saying, I didn't bring the Canadian into it last night when we were talking about it. I just
well, it's important because we actually, here in Canada, we speak Midwestern American. We speak American because what happened was after the revolution in the United States, this is according to linguists, I don't know, it seems plausible. After the revolution in the United States, there were people called United Empire Loyalists. They're loyal to the crown. In the American Revolutionary War, they call it the War of Independence because they don't like the idea of revolution. At any rate, and many of them came up to Canada. And Canada didn't exist then, and so they went to, like my ancestors on my mom's side, some of them went to Quebec first, and then they headed over to what we think of as Ontario, but that was called, Quebec eventually was called Lower Canada, and what we think of as Ontario was called Upper Canada. So they were the people who settled, the whites who settled there first, the English-speaking people that settled there first, and...
not whites. In Ontario, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
There were no French people in Ontario?
Not many.
Huh.
There'd be some.
There you go. I didn't know.
There'd be people coureur de bois going through there to collect furs. Not so much to trap, but just trade with the natives and stuff like that. So yeah, you'll find all sorts of rivers well east of where the population is, west I should say, of where the population...
Well, when did the French come up to the Peace Country then?
That's a good question. That is a very good question. I always assumed that they, were descended from trappers and things like that went up there. But, there's a long stretch of, the French really didn't take hold until about 1600 up in Quebec. So it's a long time ago, 1600 now, right? It's 400 years. So, I suspect it's relatively late.
Okay, but back to the American.
Anyway, so here in Canada, all you crazy nationalists and stuff like that hate Americans and stuff like that, we speak Americanese. So there you go. That's why so many of our former actors tend to do well down there, or failed actors on American media. Alex Trebek, we were watching that game show thing. Alex Trebek, who else? Alan Thicke.
Well, how is it then? Okay, so they were in...
Monty Hall,
okay.
Canadian.
Okay, so the United Empire Loyalists who came up because they were loyal to the Queen. Yeah. And they did not want to separate from the Queen, so they came up to Canada.
Oh, they were punted out. Some of them left town on a rail. Some of them were tarred and feathered.
All right.
The rest of them got out when the going was good. So.
Okay, so they left.
Yeah.
And it must have... Their accents had already changed to be American then, by the time they came up. Yes?
I think. You're doing I'd never thought about
because
that.
Because if it hadn't, then why separation.
Why are they the same?
Yes, because...
That is very good analysis. That is awesome. You're working like a historical linguist, because I never thought about it quite in those terms. But that's how you do historical linguistics. If you've actually got a history to deal with it, to correlate with it, the change happened already by then. So that's roughly 1776 to 1783.
So how did it change so drastically then?
Well, that's stunning because we're talking from 1600.
Yes.
You know, like it's less than 200 years. And so what we're talking about was, you know, they say that people in Tennessee, maybe Highland, Tennessee, they don't call it Highland, but Mountain
should.
Tennessee,
Yeah.
Eastern Tennessee, like where Pigeon Forge, Tennessee is where Dolly Parton hails from.
Oh,
So
yes.
that's how, according to linguists, you got to be skeptical about this because no linguists seem like old, antiquated, out of date. I'm sure when you're taking courses from them at university, but they haven't lived that long. They weren't around in 1600. But they claim that, or at least this is the last I heard, that the closest approximation to kind of like standard English, and there's no such thing really in England, but something like standard English in England, or at least in parts of England, would be like the mountaineers in Tennessee. So like Dolly Parton. That's what everyone should have sounded like on this crazy program. They should have got Dolly Parton playing a role. You see what I'm saying? Some a fun-loving matriarch or something like that. Yeah, it would have been great. Everyone speaking
It might
like
have
Dolly
been more
Parton. They should
watchable.
have just gone in and just roped a bunch of people from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and stuff like that. You know, the thing is, it actually figured in Bill Bryson's a walk around. What was that book that he wrote about going along the Appalachian
Walk
Trail?
in the Woods?
A Walk in the Woods. I think that's what it was.
called?
Yeah, but
I love that book.
Yeah, but one of the places that
I love
saved
Bill
them
Bryson.
was Pigeon Forge. You know, they didn't have enough food, so they come off the Appalachian Trail, and I think he wasn't impressed with Pigeon Forge. I think, but he should have been. He got food there, saved his life, perhaps. But I think he thought it was.
But yeah, so anyway, the British accent has changed a lot since that time period.
Well, so it wouldn't be anything, like what
this.
these
So
closes are speaking.
they went to all the work to
Yeah.
give them British accents, but
And all they had to do
it's
was
not
go rope some
accurate.
people from
Yeah.
Pigeon. And who knows, maybe they filmed this on location somewhere. Well, they couldn't be. We were talking about that too. I don't know if there are that many forested areas on the east coast of the United States. Like Jamestown is.
No, they've been doing strip mining and stuff like that, right? Like,
Well, you see, this would be, Jamestown is kind of like, you know, how they've got these big
it's
estuaries.
not where the hills are?
See, there
Interesting.
should be lots of water figuring in this thing.
Oh.
And there probably isn't, right?
I don't know. You were watching it better than I was.
So it's like...
Honestly, we were talking.
Yeah.
We were not watching this.
Yeah, but we had a pretty... this is just one thing. I was wanting to touch on it. And we did touch on it a little bit. But yeah, Jamestown is basically on a... You know, they got these big estuaries that go up the Potomac River. That goes by Washington. Washington is well and up river from Jamestown. And it's really not the same river as I recall, because an estuary tends to have branches going in and stuff like that, right? And so water should be figuring prominently. I can't recall seeing a water scene in this. There's got to be.
You know what? I remember seeing some pretty good looking
stretches
paint.
of water.
You can see some.
That's about.
See,
but
there's
not
some
water.
on the back of the case there.
No.
Guy looking handsome with his paint on. But honestly, and there was some woman that was getting some screaming done for, I don't know. Cookie Monster, paint, and woman screaming. I
was
don't
she
remember
screaming
anything
about?
from. I don't know. She was hurt. She was injured.
Oh, that's awful. But one of the other things that makes me laugh is the women are dressed. It looks almost like society women in London at that time. Have you noticed how they're so spiffily dressed? Oh, come on. This would be frontier times. I mean, the frontier is basically on the coast, east coast of the United States. They would have been just roughing it. So, come on. You know, it's so unreal. I mean,
everybody's so clean. It's amazing.
It should look like Woodstock. People in mud and dirt.